Imagine standing in front of a mirror every morning and seeing someone who doesn't wait for motivation, someone who just acts. No hesitation, no excuses, just action. Now imagine that same person turning small daily steps into a powerful life. That person could be you. The truth is, success doesn't come from luck or waiting for inspiration to strike. It comes from what you do every single day, especially when you don't feel like it. Part 1. Control what you can control. Every morning when the sun rises, life hands you 2 lists. The first list contains all the things you can control: your thoughts, your choices, your effort. The second list contains everything you can't: other people's opinions, the weather, the past. The secret to power and peace lies in choosing which list you'll focus on. Most people spend their lives fighting the second list. They get angry when it rains on their day off. They replay arguments from yesterday in their minds. They worry about what others think. But successful people, those who live with purpose, focus all their attention on the first list. Napoleon Hill once said, "Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." He wasn't talking about controlling life. He was talking about controlling your response to life. That is where your true power begins. Let's take an example. Marcus, a young man who dreamed of becoming a business owner, used to lose entire days worrying about what could go wrong. What if people didn't like his idea? What if he failed? What if he ran out of money? Those thoughts kept him frozen. One night, while reading Think and Grow Rich, he came across a line that changed his thinking forever. "You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul." Marcus realized he had been wasting his power on things he couldn't control. From that moment, he made a new rule for his life: focus only on what belongs to him, his attitude, his effort, his action. The next morning, he made a simple list. On one side, he wrote, "Things I can control." On the other, "Things I can't." He found peace in that moment. The fear that used to control him began to fade. Every time something upset him, he paused and asked one question: "Is this mine to control?" If it wasn't, he let it go. If it was, he took action immediately. That small mental shift changed everything. Within a few months, Marcus started his first small business. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. He stopped wasting time on gossip, stopped complaining about slow customers, and instead worked on improving what he could control: his product, his marketing, his consistency. His focus gave him energy. His energy gave him progress. And progress builds confidence. Now, let's go back thousands of years to one of the greatest examples in history, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. Every morning, this powerful man would sit down with a journal and write about one idea: controlling his own mind. He ruled one of the biggest empires in history, yet he knew he couldn't control whether his enemies attacked or whether people spoke kindly of him. But he could control his actions, his discipline, his fairness, his leadership. That focus made him one of the most respected leaders the world has ever known. You can use the same power in your own life today. Every morning, before you check your phone or rush into the day, grab a notebook and write down 3 things that worry you. Maybe you're stressed about money, about what someone said, or about the future. Look at each worry and ask, "Can I control this?" If the answer is yes, circle it and make a plan. If the answer is no, cross it out and let it go. This simple habit will free your mind. You'll start your day with clarity and strength instead of stress. Napoleon Hill called this directing your mind. He believed that our greatest tool is not luck or talent, it's focus. When you focus your thoughts on what you can control, you become unstoppable. You stop being a victim of life and start being a creator of it. Let's imagine another scene. Sarah, a teacher in her 30s, loved her job but often felt exhausted and overwhelmed. She complained about her coworkers, her low salary, and how unfair the system was. One day, her mentor asked her a question that changed her perspective. "Can you control the school system?" Sarah shook her head. "Can you control your attitude toward your students?" She nodded. "Then start there," her mentor said. That day, she began focusing on what she could change: her energy in class, her lesson creativity, her kindness toward her students. Within months, everything around her started to improve. Her students became more engaged. Her stress faded. The school noticed her efforts and promoted her to a leadership position. The lesson was simple: when you master your own mind, life starts to respond differently. It's not magic, it's mastery. Every time you focus on what you can control, you're taking responsibility for your life. You're saying, I will not let circumstances decide who I become. You are choosing power over panic, discipline over drama. This is the foundation of all success. Whether you're building a business, raising a family, or improving yourself, the rule never changes. Control what you can control, and let go of the rest. So tonight, before you go to sleep, remember this: you are not powerless. You are not a victim. You are the thinker of your thoughts, the decider of your choices, and the doer of your actions. Start tomorrow with this mindset, and watch how different your world begins to feel. Your life changes the moment you decide to master the only thing you truly own: yourself. Call to action. If this message inspired you, make sure to subscribe, share this video, and comment below one thing you'll start controlling in your life today. Every comment inspires someone else to take action too. Let's build a community of daily doers together. Title: The Power of Daily Action, Part 2, Turn Pain into Power. Have you ever wondered why some people rise stronger after life knocks them down, while others stay broken? The difference isn't luck or talent, it's what they do with their pain. The most successful people in history weren't the ones who avoided failure, they were the ones who learned from it. What if every painful moment in your life wasn't trying to punish you, but to prepare you for something greater? Part 2, Turn Pain into Power. Pain has two faces. To most people, it looks like a cruel enemy that destroys dreams and steals joy. But to those who understand success, the way Napoleon Hill described it, pain is a teacher, a trainer, a quiet friend that shapes you into someone powerful. Abraham Lincoln's story is proof. He didn't rise to greatness because life was easy for him. In fact, his early life was filled with more pain and failure than most people could bear. He lost his mother when he was just a boy. He failed in business several times. He lost election after election, watching others take the positions he wanted. Each failure stung like fire, each loss felt like a heavy weight pressing on his heart. But here's the extraordinary thing: Lincoln didn't let pain break him. He made a decision that would change his destiny. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he began to ask, "What can this teach me?" That simple shift in thinking turned pain into power. When his mother died, he learned the deep value of love and family. When his business collapsed, he learned how to make wiser decisions and manage risk. When he lost elections, he learned how to understand people's hearts, what they feared, what they needed, and what they hoped for. Every painful moment became a lesson, every lesson a step toward greatness. By the time Lincoln became president, he had turned pain into strength. Without those hard lessons, he could never have led America through its darkest chapter, the Civil War. Pain, not comfort, had prepared him to save a nation. Napoleon Hill would say that Lincoln had discovered one of life's greatest truths. Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. The same is true for you. When something painful happens in your life, stop running from it. Instead ask, "What can this teach me?" Maybe losing your job is teaching you that it's time to learn a new skill or chase work that truly fits your purpose. Maybe a broken friendship is showing you how to choose people more wisely and set better boundaries. Maybe an illness is reminding you to care for your body, eat better, rest more, and love yourself deeper. Every hardship hides a hidden treasure, a lesson that can make you stronger, wiser, and more successful. Take out a notebook tonight and write down one painful thing that has happened recently. Underneath it, write the lesson it taught you. Then, decide one action you'll take using that lesson. You'll be amazed at how quickly your mindset changes. The moment you start seeing pain as preparation, your life begins to move in a new direction. Lincoln wasn't alone in using pain as a stepping stone. Many great people, Edison, Roosevelt, and even Napoleon Hill himself, used failure and struggle as the foundation for their success. When Hill interviewed hundreds of successful people for his legendary book Think and Grow Rich, he noticed a pattern. Every single one of them had faced failure and hardship before achieving greatness. But none of them let those moments define them. They saw them as practice sessions for bigger challenges ahead. Which brings us to the next key principle: plan your day every morning. Most people wake up each day without a plan, like ships drifting without a compass. They react to life instead of creating life. They let their day control them instead of controlling their day. But successful people, those who live with purpose, start each morning with a map. They don't hope for a good day. They build one. George Washington understood this better than most. During the Revolutionary War, he woke up early every morning, long before sunrise. He reviewed his most important goals, checked what supplies were running low, thought about what his soldiers needed, and planned every detail of the day ahead. His enemies had more men, more weapons, and more money. But Washington had something stronger: preparation. He planned every battle as if the future of the nation depended on it, because it did. That daily planning helped him win impossible victories and eventually build the foundation of the United States. You can use that same power in your own life. Before you go to sleep tonight, write down 3 important things you want to accomplish tomorrow. Keep your list simple but meaningful. Choose one thing that strengthens your body, like a workout, a healthy meal, or a good night's sleep. Choose one thing that strengthens your mind, like reading a powerful book or learning something new. And choose one thing that strengthens your relationships, like spending time with loved ones or helping someone in need. When you wake up, look at your list immediately. Don't check your phone. Don't scroll through the noise of the world. Start your day with purpose. Begin with the hardest and most important task first. You'll be amazed how quickly your confidence grows. Planning gives you control over your life. It turns random days into stepping stones toward your goals. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "A goal is a dream with a deadline." Your daily plan is that deadline. It keeps you moving forward one day at a time, turning dreams into achievements. Lincoln learned from pain. Washington conquered through planning. You can do both. Let every painful lesson become your teacher, and every morning plan become your map. Together, they'll guide you toward the powerful, disciplined, and unstoppable version of yourself that you were born to become. Remember, pain is not punishment. It is preparation for something better. Call to action. If this story inspired you, take one small step today. Write down the biggest lesson your pain has taught you and share it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video so others can turn their pain into power too. Together, we can build a world full of learners, not quitters. Title: The Power of Effort, Part 3, The Farmer's Secret. Engaging hook. Have you ever noticed how some people seem unstoppable? No matter what life throws at them, failures, delays, or disappointments, they just keep going, while others quit the moment things don't go as planned. The secret to lasting success isn't luck, or talent, or even timing. It's focus, the kind of focus that keeps your eyes on what you can control instead of what you can't. This is the same timeless truth Napoleon Hill spoke of when he said, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." Once upon a time, in the quiet countryside, there lived a humble farmer named Samuel. Every morning before sunrise, he walked out to his fields, breathing in the cool, earthy air. His hands were rough, his back bent from years of work, but his spirit burned with something powerful: faith and effort. Samuel understood something most people never learn in their lifetime. He knew he couldn't control the rain, the sun, or the wind. He couldn't stop the insects that chewed his crops or the storms that sometimes flattened them. But he could control how well he prepared his soil, how carefully he planted his seeds, and how faithfully he tended his fields every single day. While other farmers grumbled about the weather and cursed their luck, Samuel focused on what he could control: his work. And over time, that made all the difference. Napoleon Hill often reminded his readers that success begins in the mind. It starts with the habit of thinking about what is possible, not what's out of your hands. Samuel didn't waste his thoughts on fear or doubt. He believed in the principle of cause and effect. If he gave his best every day, the results would come, even if they came later than expected. There was one summer when a terrible drought struck. Many farmers gave up, their crops shriveled, and they stopped tending their fields altogether. "What's the use?" they said. "There's no rain. Everything's ruined." But not Samuel. He still walked to his fields every morning. He watered his plants from the little he had stored, trimmed the weeds that stole precious moisture, and prayed with gratitude for what little life remained in his soil. His neighbors called him foolish. Yet, when the rain finally returned, Samuel's fields were the first to bloom again. The roots of his crops had survived because he had never stopped caring for them. His quiet, consistent effort had preserved what others had abandoned. This is the secret Hill spoke of: persistence. The habit of focusing on effort, not just results. Samuel understood that results are like the harvest. They come after seasons of invisible growth beneath the soil. One evening, as Samuel sat under a tree after a long day, his young son asked, "Father, how do you stay calm when things don't go your way?" Samuel smiled. "Son, the farmer's job is not to make the sun shine or the rain fall. His job is to prepare the land and plant the seeds. Life takes care of the rest." That night, his son wrote those words in his notebook. Years later, he would repeat them often, realizing they were not just about farming, they were about everything in life. Whether it's business, relationships, health, or personal growth, the same truth applies: focus on effort, not results. You cannot force the outcome, but you can always give your best. History gives us proof of this principle again and again. Think about Ludwig van Beethoven, the great composer who lost his hearing but refused to give up. He could no longer hear the music he wrote, yet he continued to compose pieces that touched millions. He couldn't control his deafness, but he could control his devotion to his art. Beethoven's greatness came not from perfect circumstances, but from perfect focus. He poured his heart into every note, trusting that his consistent effort would leave a mark, and it did. Even today, centuries later, his music inspires people across the world. Napoleon Hill would say that Beethoven practiced the law of persistence, the unwavering commitment to your purpose, no matter how long results take. This is what separates dreamers from achievers. You can apply this same truth in your own life. Think about 3 areas you want to grow, maybe your health, your career, or your mindset. Instead of chasing quick results like lose 20 pounds or make $10,000 this month, set effort goals. Decide to move your body every day, to learn one new skill each month, or to write for 20 minutes every morning. Measure your success by your effort, not your results. When you focus on effort, you stay in control. You don't get discouraged when results take time, because your victory is already in your discipline. And discipline always brings rewards, sometimes quietly, sometimes suddenly, but always surely. Like Samuel's crops that survived the drought, your consistent effort will bloom when the season is right. Napoleon Hill once said, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right." That's the wisdom of the farmer, the composer, and every person who has ever achieved greatness. The secret is simple: control what you can control, and let go of what you can't. Give your best today, every day. The harvest will come. Call to action. If you found inspiration in this story, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful life lessons based on Napoleon Hill's timeless principles. Comment below what area of your life you're focusing your effort on today. Title: The Power of Effort, Part 4. The River That Never Stops Engaging. Hook. Have you ever wondered why some people keep growing stronger and more successful, while others start with excitement but give up too soon? The difference isn't talent or luck, it's the ability to build powerful habits through small, consistent actions. Napoleon Hill once said, "If you cannot do great things, do small things in a great way." That single line hides one of life's greatest secrets. Greatness doesn't begin with massive effort. It begins with something so small it almost seems unimportant. But practiced daily, it changes everything. There was a young man named Thomas who lived in a small town near a wide, winding river. He often sat by its edge, watching how calmly it moved, day after day, never stopping, never hurrying. Even the hardest rocks in its path couldn't block it for long. Over time, the river carved its way through solid stone. Thomas couldn't help but wonder, how can something so soft overcome something so strong? One day, his grandfather, an old man who had once studied Napoleon Hill's philosophy, joined him by the water. "Do you see this river?" he asked. "It teaches us the greatest lesson of success. The river doesn't try to crush the rock in one moment. It flows past it again and again, little by little, until the rock gives way. That's how success works, Thomas. Not through sudden power, but through quiet persistence." Thomas didn't understand it completely that day. He wanted big change fast. He wanted results now. But years later, those words would shape his destiny. When Thomas grew older, he dreamed of becoming an artist. He could see vivid images in his mind, mountains, faces, skies, but his hands couldn't bring them to life the way he wanted. His first paintings were terrible. His lines were clumsy, his colors unbalanced. After weeks of effort, he wanted to quit. Then he remembered the river. He realized that big goals are like carving through stone. They take time, patience, and persistence. So, instead of setting a goal like, paint a masterpiece, he made a smaller goal. Paint for 30 minutes every day. At first, it felt too simple. 30 minutes didn't seem like enough to change anything. But he trusted the process. Every morning before work, he painted. Even when he was tired, even when inspiration didn't come, he showed up. He did not chase results. He focused only on the effort he could control. After a few months, something amazing began to happen. His brushstrokes became smoother. His colors came alive. And before he realized it, people began to notice his work. What had started as a simple daily effort had turned into real progress. The river had started to carve its path. Napoleon Hill often wrote about the power of habit. He called it the law of cosmic habit force. Once an action becomes a habit, it gathers energy, pulling you toward success automatically. Small, repeated actions, no matter how tiny, create enormous momentum over time. But most people fail to understand this law. They want instant results. They start big, with huge goals that feel exciting in the beginning but impossible to sustain. They go to the gym for hours on the first day, read an entire book in one night, or change their whole diet in a week. Then exhaustion sets in, and they stop altogether. Hill would say, "The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones." That is what Thomas learned. It's not about how much you do in one day, it's about what you do every day. One evening, Thomas met an elderly woman at a small art exhibition. She was quiet but wise, and she studied his paintings for a long time before speaking. "You have the patience of the river," she said with a smile. "Most people chase waves. You let the current carry you." Thomas realized she was right. His success didn't come from grand effort or sudden bursts of creativity. It came from consistency, the slow, quiet rhythm of showing up, day after day, without worrying about when success would come. This is what Napoleon Hill meant when he taught that your thoughts and efforts shape your destiny. Success isn't one great act. It's a series of small acts, repeated faithfully until the results appear. Benjamin Franklin understood this too. When he decided to improve his character, he didn't try to change everything at once. He chose one virtue each week, like honesty, temperance, or humility, and focused on that single habit. Slowly, those small, focused efforts transformed his life. By mastering little things, he became one of the greatest thinkers and leaders in history. This principle works for everyone, no matter where you start or what your goal is. Want better health? Walk for 10 minutes a day until it feels natural. Want to build a business? Work 1 hour every morning before your regular job. Want to improve your mindset? Read one positive page each night before bed. The secret is not in the size of the action, it's in the repetition. Years later, Thomas held his first solo art exhibition. His paintings glowed with color and life. Visitors stood in awe, admiring the beauty that had taken years to shape. When a young artist asked him how he became so good, Thomas smiled and said, "I never tried to become great. I just painted every day." He remembered the river that had once puzzled him as a boy. Now he understood, greatness flows quietly, patiently, with purpose. So, when you want to change your life, don't look for big, dramatic moves. Start with one small habit. Practice it every day. Be like the river that never stops, and soon, you'll carve through every obstacle in your way. Call to action. If you enjoyed this inspiring lesson from Napoleon Hill's philosophy, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories on success, persistence, and personal growth. Comment below what small habit you're starting today. You might inspire someone else's journey. Title: The Hidden Power Within, Part 5, The Unseen Climb. Engaging hook. What if the reason you haven't reached your dream yet isn't because you're doing something wrong, but because life is testing your persistence? Napoleon Hill taught that every great success begins right after the point where most people give up. Think about that for a second. The dream doesn't fail, you just stop climbing too soon. The truth is, success often hides behind fatigue, disappointment, and doubt. It rewards those who keep moving when there's no visible progress. The question is, will you keep climbing when the peak is hidden in the clouds? Long ago, in a small mountain village, there lived a young man named Daniel who dreamed of reaching the summit of the great peak. The mountain was famous for being almost impossible to climb. Many had tried, but most gave up halfway, exhausted by the cold and the steep path. One morning, Daniel packed his bag, tied his shoes, and told his family, "I'm going to climb the great peak." They laughed kindly, thinking it was only a young man's dream. But Daniel wasn't joking. He had read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and one sentence burned inside him. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. The journey began easily. The first miles were smooth, filled with sunlight and the sound of birds. Daniel felt unstoppable. But as he climbed higher, the air thinned. The trail turned rocky and cruel. Each step demanded more strength. Clouds rolled in, covering the summit from view. Days passed. His legs ached, his supplies ran low, and doubt began to whisper in his ear. "Maybe this mountain isn't meant to be climbed," he thought. "Maybe I should go home." But then he remembered Hill's lesson about persistence, that success often comes to those who refuse to quit when things get hardest. Every night, Daniel made a small fire, sat beside it, and reminded himself of one truth: effort never disappears. Even when results don't show, each step forward builds invisible strength. That strength becomes the foundation for everything that comes later. Hill called this the principle of sustained effort. He believed that nature does not reward wishful thinking but persistent action. He often told the story of a miner who gave up digging just 3 feet away from a vein of gold. Another man picked up the same tools, continued digging, and found the treasure. The first miner wasn't unlucky. He simply quit too soon. Daniel didn't want to be that miner. So he kept climbing. Some days, he moved only a few feet. Other days, he slid backward. But he refused to turn around. He knew that every step, no matter how small, counted. On the 5th night, as he camped in the cold, something inside him shifted. The mountain wasn't his enemy anymore, it had become his teacher. The wind taught him patience. The silence taught him focus. The climb taught him humility. He began to understand what Napoleon Hill meant when he said, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." The climb was shaping him into the kind of person capable of reaching the top. Success, he realized, is not given to the lucky. It is earned by those who learn to endure, adapt, and keep going no matter what. Back in the village, people assumed Daniel had failed. Weeks had passed with no word from him. "He probably gave up like the others," they said. But Daniel was still climbing. Then one morning, as sunlight broke through the mist, he finally reached the summit. The view stretched endlessly: mountains, rivers, forests, all glowing in the golden light of dawn. He fell to his knees, tears mixing with the cold wind. He had done it. Not because he was stronger or smarter than others, but because he refused to stop. At that moment, Daniel realized something powerful. The summit was not the true reward. The real reward was the person he had become on the way up. The man who learned to trust his effort even when he couldn't see results. When Daniel returned home, people asked how he had done it. He smiled and said, "The mountain only looks impossible until you start climbing. Then it teaches you how." Napoleon Hill would have agreed. Success is not one giant leap. It's a series of small, consistent steps taken long after others have stopped. You must keep climbing when you're tired, keep pushing when no one's watching, keep believing when results are invisible. Remember, persistence turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. When you feel like quitting, you are often closer to your breakthrough than you think. The test of life is simple: can you keep climbing when the summit disappears from view? So today, when your own mountain feels too high, whether it's building a business, learning a new skill, or changing your life, think of Daniel. Think of Napoleon Hill's golden rule. Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting. Keep climbing, step by step. Even when you can't see the top, trust that every ounce of effort is taking you closer. Because one day, the clouds will part, and you'll stand on your own summit, stronger, wiser, and grateful that you never gave up. Call to action. If this story inspired you, take one more step toward your dream today. Like, share, and subscribe for more powerful lessons inspired by Napoleon Hill's success principles. Comment below what mountain you're climbing right now. Your words might give someone else the courage to keep going. Title: The Hidden Power Within, Part 6. The Master Key of Life. Engaging hook. Have you ever felt like you've done everything right, worked hard, stayed positive, made good plans, but but success still seems just out of reach? Many people quit at this point, believing luck or fate is against them. But what if the missing piece isn't luck at all? What if the real secret to success lies inside you, waiting to be awakened? Napoleon Hill spent his life searching for that hidden key, and he found it. It's not money, talent, or connections. It's a power every person already has, the ability to think with purpose and persistence until thought becomes reality. When Hill first met the great steel magnate Andrew Carnegie, he was a young, hungry journalist. Carnegie looked at him carefully and said something that would change his life forever. "Hill," he said, "I'm going to give you the greatest assignment any man has ever received. I want you to spend the next 20 years studying the most successful people in the world and discover what makes them great." Hill was shocked. 20 years? He asked. "Yes," Carnegie said with a smile. "And I won't pay you a cent. But if you do it, you'll uncover the secret that can turn any dream into reality." Most people would have walked away. But Hill didn't. He accepted the challenge, even though he had no money, no promise of fame, and no guarantee of success. That decision became the beginning of one of the greatest journeys in history, a journey that gave the world Think and Grow Rich. Over the next 2 decades, Napoleon Hill interviewed the most powerful and successful men and women in America: Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Alexander Graham Bell, Helen Keller, Theodore Roosevelt, and dozens more. He discovered something incredible. Every single one of them used the same hidden principle, even if they didn't know it consciously. They all believed deeply in the power of thought. They turned invisible ideas into visible success through faith, purpose, and relentless action. He'll realize that thoughts are like seeds. If planted with faith, watered with persistence, and protected by discipline, they will always grow, though not always in the way or time you expect. He learned that the human mind is like a broadcasting station. Whatever you think about most, whether success or failure, you send that signal into the world, and it returns to you multiplied. Your thoughts shape your destiny. Many years later, after Hill became famous, a young man asked him, "Mr. Hill, what is the single most powerful secret you discovered?" Hill smiled gently and said, "The secret is this: whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Those words hold the master key to life. Think about them carefully. Conceive, believe, achieve. That means if you can imagine a dream, and truly believe in your ability to make it real, nothing can stop you except yourself. This idea might sound simple, but it's not easy. Believing when you see no results takes courage. Acting with faith when everyone doubts you takes strength. Persisting when failure mocks you takes heart. Yet these are the very tests that separate winners from quitters, creators from complainers. To show this power in action, Hill often told a story about his own son, Blair, who was born without ears. Doctors said he would never hear or speak. But Hill refused to accept that verdict. He kept believing that somehow his son would hear. He spoke to Blair every day as though the boy could understand him. He told him he was special, capable, and destined to do great things. For years, nothing changed. But Hill never stopped believing. One day, when Blair was in his teens, he received a new hearing device that helped him catch faint sounds for the first time. That moment opened the door to a whole new world. Eventually, Blair not only learned to hear and speak clearly but went on to help thousands of other deaf people gain hearing. Hill said, "Faith is the only known antidote to failure." His belief in his son's potential turned a hopeless situation into a miracle. Here's the truth Hill wanted everyone to know before he died: every challenge, every disappointment, and every delay is a test, to see if you will hold on to your belief or surrender to doubt. When you stay faithful, even when there's no sign of progress, you prove to the universe that you're ready for success. When you persist, doors begin to open that you didn't even know existed. That is the hidden power within. The power to think and believe until your dream takes form. Now it's your turn. Take one quiet moment today and write down the dream that burns most deeply in your heart. Don't think about whether it's realistic or how long it will take. Just write it down clearly. Then, beneath it, write these words: "I believe." Every morning, read those words out loud. Feel them. Picture your dream already accomplished. Then take at least one small step each day toward it, no matter how small. You will begin to notice opportunities appearing, people showing up, ideas forming, all in harmony with the vision you hold in your mind. This is not luck. It's the law of belief in motion. Napoleon Hill called it the master key of life. You already hold it. All you need to do is use it.so. As this final chapter closes, remember this: you are the builder of your destiny. You are the captain of your soul. You are the thinker whose thoughts become things. Every great success begins as a single thought inside a determined mind. Your dream is not a fantasy. It's a future waiting for your faith to unlock. It.so said. Don't wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand. Start today. Believe. Act. Persist. And unlock your hidden power within. Call to action. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who needs encouragement today. Like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful life lessons inspired by Napoleon Hill's philosophy. Tell us in the comments, what dream will you start believing in today?